All right. So we're going to look at
Hey, you didn't say sit down and shut
what? Oh, I'm sorry. Sit down and shut up.
up.
We're going to do an interesting problem that I found in your textbook. And let me see if I can find a little write-up of it here. Hang on. It's not all in this window here. But you can see it. There was back in 2001, there was a study at Columbia University, supposedly, on the power of prayer to help IVF patients conceive. And they had, this article says about almost 200 women. The numbers I have are 186 women, 189 women. And people were asked to pray for these women. These women all lived in Korea, South Korea, and they were... Why is that so... has to do with the Olympics, sorry. I didn't get them, okay. No woman in the Olympics was allowed... And their findings in this study was that about 50% of the women who were prayed for got pregnant versus, this says 26 versus 21% of the women who weren't prayed for got pregnant. So this was a study done at Columbia about 9 years ago, but there's been a lot of controversy with this study. So some people think it was a hoax. Some people question the way the prayer was done. Apparently there is some controversy because, let me see if I can get to the other window here. Some people had a problem with it because some of the prayer was done for the women and some of the prayer was done for the people who were praying for the women, and they found that that was a problem with the study. I'm not quite sure why that was a problem with the study, but I find that kind of interesting. But anyway, so apparently pictures of these women were sent to people all across the United States. And they prayed for them, and then they went back to see who got pregnant, who didn't. And the women, the Korean women in the study, did not give their consent to be in the study. They did not give their consent to be prayed for. So, there's another issue people have with this study. So take it or leave it. We're going to look at this study to learn a confidence interval because I thought it was kind of funny. All right. Needs to be repeated. Yes, needs to be repeated, I think. All right. So the numbers I have. No, we're not going to repeat this. But the study should be repeated. All right, so my numbers say that there were 169 women at this clinic getting in vitro fertilization. Why do you get in vitro fertilization? You can't get pregnant. If you don't have a male spouse, yes, you can use in vitro fertilization. You can also use artificial insemination. We won't go there. But people usually use in vitro fertilization if they're having problems getting pregnant. It's usually older women who had a successful career. They put off having babies in their 20s and 30s. And here they are, late 30s, early 40s. They're still fertile, but they're not very fertile. They're having a lot of problems getting pregnant. It's generally the women's eggs are old is what happens. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that men in their 90s can father children, no problem. Yeah, well, maybe there's a problem, but it's not a problem with the sperm counts, apparently. All right. What with Viagra, anything can happen these days.
Ew, are you serious? Even when you're like 100 years
When you're 100, apparently, I don't know. Anybody know? Probably so. I don't know, and I don't know from experience.
so disturbing.
All right. So, 88 of these women were prayed for. Okay, so their pictures were sent to people at churches, and the names, and they prayed for them. And 44 got pregnant. 44 preggers, yes. Okay. Yeah, they were all doing IVF. So they were heavily all trying to get pregnant. Yeah, I think it was all from the same clinic. May have been all from the same doctor. Yeah. Okay. 81 were not prayed for. Okay, so I can't really say that nobody prayed for them because, probably, like their mother probably prayed for them or something. Somebody, their grandma prayed for them to get pregnant, but their picture wasn't sent to these churches in the United States to pray for them. And 21 of those women got pregnant. Okay, so let's estimate the difference.
Wait, how come they did different population sizes?
So why are the sample sizes different? They probably were 88 and 88, and then some people dropped out of the IVF program or something, or maybe they were 100 and 100, and some people start IVF and then they drop out after they go the first time and go, yuck, I don't want to do this. Okay, so it does not matter if the sample sizes are the same. Was why I wanted you to quiet down and listen to something. Okay. So we're going to estimate the difference of the proportions of these women, of these women's pregnancies. Pregnancies. There we go. So, they usually call that like a successful IVF or something like that. There's probably like a word for that for these. It's not just pregnant. You have the successful IVF. And this was a little bit earlier days of IVF. So the success rates are, 21 out of 81 was probably pretty good at that time. So let's do a 95% confidence interval for this difference. Why not? So the first thing I do with my confidence interval is I'm going to name my parameter. My parameters are going to be population proportions. Population proportions, we will abbreviate with a lowercase p, and some people use pi, but your book uses a lowercase p, so I'll stick with that. So I'm going to say the population proportion of women who got prayed for, so I'm going to call that p sub p. This is the proportion of women who get IVF, get prayed for, and get pregnant. Okay? And my other population will be the proportion, the women who get IVF and don't get prayed for and get pregnant. And so I'm going to look at the proportion of, I'm going to go P not prayed for. And that, I don't know how else to say not, I can say NP. So that's the proportion of women, not just in this sample, but of all women, not just women in Korea, but all women. You think it matters that they were from Korea? Okay. You say that without a doubt. Yes. The people who don't have anybody praying for them. and get pregnant. Okay. Next part of my confidence interval, let me name my test. We're going to do a 95% confidence interval for 2 population